Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, and that was Mildred, executive cat at ClassicsToday.com. You know, it's always good to have a pet on hand when you want to talk about Spohr. I don't know why, because, it just seems that Spohr reminds me of, petting things. It's just me. Anyway, yes, here I am with a really nice pile of Spohr. We've been going back and forth about this composer, and we just covered him in random reviews from the overflow room. And, I'm really trying. I keep trying. He was not a very good composer. He wrote tons and tons and tons of music. A lot of it is just dreck, but some of it is really good. And I think being a discerning listener and keeping an open mind are extremely important. And one of you very kind commentators, mentioned an absolutely splendid work, his Concerto for String Quartet and Orchestra, which is really fascinating. It's unique. It's not that unique. I mean, there's some others, which we'll talk about in a minute, but it really is marvelous. Spohr was often at his best when he set himself some sort of challenge or he found an angle. He needed an angle to make his music interesting, because otherwise it was just sort of, Mozart with more chromatic sludge attached. But after that, if he could think of some creative way to get into it, like his double quartets, which are kind of fun, or that symphony about the earthly and the divine and humankind for double orchestras. He liked doing double thingies, opposing, one pile of instruments against another pile of instruments. And the string quartet concerto is that, because you've got one pile of instruments, the string quartet, and you've got the orchestra. And it really is terrific. It's in 3 movements. It's not terribly long. It's gorgeously written. The tunes are good. He was a wonderful orchestrator. That's true. He was very, very gifted when it came to using orchestral color, but usually in a way that made textures sort of mellow and pleasant, but not exciting. But a string quartet concerto, let's face it, it's not going to be exciting, exciting. But it's elegant and it's exquisitely well written. I mean, he was a violin player. He wrote the treatise on violin playing. I mean, this was his element. And so it is an absolutely fabulous piece. It's in, in A minor, yes, and it's opus 131. It's a late work. And here it is. Ta-da! It's on MD and G, that label. There are actually a few recordings of it. We'll get to that. But this one I like particularly because it's with the Ensemble Villa Musica, and it has the Nonet, which is another one of his flat-out masterpieces. And it's a wonderful work. And his Overture Opus 12, which is, it's okay. It's a Spohr overture. But the String Quartet Concerto is delicious. And so I heartily second the recommendation made in the comments section when we were talking about Spohr, and here it is. Now, if you can't find this, and it may be a little tricky, it may be. I didn't see it available as a streaming thing, which really annoyed me. Because I wanted it on my phone because I love the work. But this recording I didn't see. But there's this one, which I also didn't see. This has his variations for violin and string trio, opuses 6 and 8, which are similar. I mean, a variation for violin and string trio is really for string quartet, right? But the violin has additional prominence. I mean, that's kind of a Spohr thing. Remember his violin concerto, his famous one, number 8, the Gesangszene concerto, where he writes the concerto in the form of an operatic scena, with an aria and a recitative and another aria. And it's, he thought that was very clever. Never mind the fact that a concerto is originally derived from the operatic scena. That's exactly where the form came from. But by returning to it, he wrote this piece that became his most popular concerto because of its obviousness or its essential qualities in returning the medium to its roots. And so, a violin and string trio is a string quartet with the first violin on top, which is the way most string quartets got started back in the prior century, back in the 18th century, when you had, Quatuor Brillant, which had a virtuoso violin part. They were mini concertos, and everyone else accompanied. So here we also have his string quartet concerto. This is with the Berlin Radio Symphony and Gerd Albrecht. It's on Koch, if you can still find it. And there's another one, the one I got on my phone. See, I have my phone here. And that was actually rather interesting. It's a very interesting coupling. Let me see if I can find it. Because I have it here somewhere, but it's not under Spohr because it's got like a bunch of other people on it. But I will find it if it kills me. Ah, there it is. Yes, it's the San Francisco Ballet Orchestra with the Lark Quartet on arabesque, of all things. But it's still available. Here it is. There you go. You see, and this is really cool because it's got the Handel and the Schoenberg String Quartet Concerto after Handel's Opus 6. Remember that? And then the Spohr and the Elgar Introduction and Allegro. And the conductor is Jean-Louis Leroux with the San Francisco Ballet Orchestra on arabesque, which is really kind of cool. I actually played in the San Francisco Ballet Orchestra at one point when I was at Stanford. That was a bizarre sort of experience. I forget who the conductor was then, but he referred to all of the instruments with their Italian names. I mean, he was perfect. He was not Italian. He was an African American, very American. But I was Mr. Piatti because I played cymbals, and the bassoons were the fagotti, and it was sort of an exercise in affectation. But in any case, this Spohr work is really one of his great ones, and I have no doubt about it. And I heartily am grateful for the recommendation and the chance to talk about him in the most positive way. So if you do have a chance to hear this work, give it a shot. You're really going to enjoy it, I have a feeling. It's ear-tingling, and it's captivating from beginning to end. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks so much for joining me, and go get your pile of Spohr. Take care.